Good afternoon. It's Lee Cassidy from Tactile Technology, and this is the final of our Meet the Speakers session. So we've got Boris Kurktchiev with us. So how are you doing, Boris?
Hey, Lee. Thanks for having me. I'm doing good.
Right. So tell people a little bit about yourself, how you've got to where you are today, and maybe tell a little bit about Diamanti as well.
Sure. So hello, everybody. My name is Boris. Last name is irrelevant because nobody can pronounce it anyway. I was born in Bulgaria and came to the States in a very young age. And I've been out here dabbling in technology since I was a teenager. Recently, in the recent past, I have been deep in the container space and started out with Kubernetes when it was just kind of an infant project that got born out of Google Borg. And I've been marching to that beat for the last few years. I do work for Diamanti, and Diamanti is a Kubernetes-based company. We try to make Kubernetes easy for consumption and easy for operation, which are kind of the two major things that I'm going to talk about next week.
So just a quick clarification for a few people that people, when they think about containers, they talk about Docker and things, but that's only the real-time component, isn't it? What Kubernetes does is do the orchestration, provide networking and levels of security as well. But there are other than technology you can wrap around those, like Diamanti, to give you additional functionality.
Correct. Yeah, Kubernetes kind of gives you the I'm going to take my CTO's tagline, and he likes to say that Kubernetes has become the new Linux kernel, which is in many ways very true. Even though it's a very young technology, it is now in the middle of absolutely anything you touch, whether it's a phone app or a web app or an internal company application. There is almost 100% chance guarantee that Kubernetes is touching and running something in the stack. So it's becoming the new de facto, the cloud native kernel, if you will.
And also it's been used on the edge as well. It's starting to be used using K3S as well in a lot of cases. That's cut down version for 5G delivery of services and things. So there's a lot of other areas it's being used, Kubernetes. So your sessions, you're doing one that's about deploying Kubernetes in 15 minutes. And the second one, you're talking about how you can scale and also cross-cloud and with stateful applications next week. So give us a little bit of insight into what you're going to cover in those two sessions.
Sure. Yeah. Even though if anybody ever kind of came up through the technology world and dabbled in the, I wouldn't say early days of Linux, but just early days of distribution, I'm sure that you had to compile a kernel and, scratch your head as to what to do and try to get if you ever were a Gen 2 fan, compile a whole operating system from scratch and bootstrap it. That very much is true still, even with Kubernetes. The power it provides is immense. Operationalizing it is a pain. And that's one of the problems that we try to address by giving you what is essentially Kubernetes in a box. You just need to provide the power and networking, and everything else is handled for you. So you can have the equivalent of the public cloud offering directly to your company and in your data center, in your full control, rather than having to pay somebody else to run it for you and everything else. And then on the other aspect, I like to talk a lot about app mobility and data mobility. Some people try use the two terms very interchangeably, but they're very, very distinct, different problems. App mobility, there's a lot of people that solve app mobility, right? Even Kubernetes itself, in its nature, allows you to write a manifest once that describes your application or service and fire it up on any Kubernetes out there. The problem comes whenever you need to take your database and its data or whatever other data engine that you have in the background that stores and actually feeds your application and your front end. And there is a lot less solutions to that problem because it's a very hard problem to solve.
Yeah.
And we came up with a new product that builds on top of our data center technology that allows you to essentially plug our storage and networking software stack into any public cloud, and then gives you the single pane of glass mobility of, again, applications. So you can move kind of that front end and everything else wherever you want, to whichever cloud back on premises, but also shift along with it the data that is actually so central and important to the application actually functioning and being, a useful piece of software, right? So yeah, those are kind of the two problems I will be trying to discuss.
And that helps in a couple of different ways. One is if you're, say, developing locally and deploying onto a public cloud, it allows you to move the application plus the data. But also in the future, we believe people have this hybrid environment. And that's another session we will cover as a panel discussion next Wednesday, where people are looking at hybrid cloud so they can have multiple different cloud providers. And there are a couple of reasons why you might want to that. One is not to be locked into one service is a challenge. You might want that alternative service because they've got something that you can utilize there that isn't available in the other service. One of them is, you may have, some application you're running in Kubernetes in AWS, but you need something like a Lambda type service you can utilize there. Whereas if you go to Azure, you don't have the equivalent of Lambda at the moment. So there's different reasons why people might want to use multiple clouds as well. So very, very interesting. Let's give everybody a quick update on the sessions that we've got next week then. So first of all, the actual event itself is on Wednesday the 28th, starting at 1 p.m. through to 5 p.m. The link below that, hopin.com/events/tactile-technology-cloud-native-applications will get you to the registration screen. You need to register with Hopin first, have an Hopin account before you can register for the event itself. Can we kick off the event with opening statements from myself, and then quite an interesting subject, observability, because a lot of people seem to mix observability and monitoring and think they're the same thing, but they're not. They're quite different. So we're going to cover observability, but also what comes next after that with Eric Cook from OpsRamp. We're also going to look at SQL Server in a container, just to show people that you can do things a little bit differently with existing applications rather than having to reinvent the wheel every time, because you might have something that would be really useful in a container environment, but don't want to change the database for it. We've also got Nikki Villebrand joining us, talking about the myths and magics of cloud native at 1:45 to 2:15. And then we're going to have a network breakout session for everybody to network with their peers. Following on from that, Boris's colleague Eric Jan Fransen will be talking about the power and the challenges of cloud native from 2:30 to 3 p.m. And then we've got some more sessions. Ross Cooper-Smith looking at creating a private cloud environment. And then we've got a break for networking again. Our final keynote is Ross Cooper-Smith talking about the value of private cloud, because a lot of people look at public cloud, but they forget about the value of private cloud. So he'll be doing that 3:45 to 4:15. And then we've got our panel discussion where all our speakers are going to join us talking about hybrid cloud, fact or fiction. So we're going to go through a number of different features and benefits of a hybrid environment, but also the challenges there may be. And we've spoken to a number of people this week about their sessions, and some of the common ones are around having the resources and skills to be able to operate in two different cloud environments, the ability to move workloads between them, and what you were saying before, Boris, around be able to move the applications and the data, alleviates that issue and allows people to use a hybrid cloud environment. So that's our final session, other than closing statements at 4:45 to 5 p.m. and then that closes out after that. It's a free session. Anybody can come and join us for the day. Hopefully you'll get to hear something interesting, you get to see something interesting, and help you on your journey towards a cloud native future. Thanks ever so much for joining me today, Boris. That was really great to do an introduction to yourself and what you're talking about next week. And I look forward to your sessions next week.
Yeah, thank you. I'm looking forward to chatting with everybody.
All right. I'll speak to you soon.
Bye bye.
Bye.